the BeanTown Beatdown.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Yep. Matthew Barnes here.
Gabe Thomas coming at you from BeanTown.
Yep. And Gabe's got his water. I got my liquor.
Awesome.
That's right.
Let's get into some headlines, shall we?
Yep. Headlines. First and foremost, an update on Page Vanzant. Second runner-up on Dancing with the Stars. She was on Tough Talk, which airs after the Ultimate Fighter, every episode on Wednesday nights.
Nice. Okay.
And she says that right now she's training. She's back in the gym. She has no word yet on when she's going to come back. I mean, they wanted her to be there for UFC 200, but she says that she was going on in the show with Dancing with the Stars, so now so she had to pull out of a fight. Since then, now she's back in the gym, and who knows when she'll fight next, but I can guarantee you it's going to be a big one. I mean,
yeah, I can imagine. Imagine.
Hopefully.
And we've talked before. This must be a crazy thing to try and juggle between your entertainment career and your fighting career. You know, we've talked about before the sort of talents and things that are needed for both of them, and it's very different.
Well, yeah, exactly, because you're now, especially for Paige Vanzant, she's not only expanding the UFC brand, making the UFC more mainstream, but also expanding her brand as well, trying to hopefully get some commercials and some more movie roles for her as well. Hopefully, I hope she fights on the UFC card in Madison Square Garden on my birthday, because that would be awesome.
Yes.
And also, speaking of awesome, tomorrow night on HBO's Boxing After Dark, we got Francisco Vargas putting his super featherweight title on the line against the former champion Orlando Salido. This fight has Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti written all over it.
Awesome.
It does, because it's gonna be, because of the first, just like the first fight, it's just gonna be two throwback fighters from the old school days.
Yeah,
they're just gonna be swinging at each other. And of course, this is a 12-round fight, so I expect nothing but bruises, blood, and a lot of body shots too. Bam, bam, bam. Probably some low blows in there, because Orlando Salido.
That's what the fight fans are looking for, but body shots, blood, and low blows.
Yeah, and hopefully, maybe a knockout in there. And Orlando Salido, he's been fighting since 1996. He really is the Rocky Balboa of this thing. And plus, it's two Mexican fighters going at it. So what can be better? What could be better than that? Absolutely. And last but not definitely the least, on Mayweather Mcgregor. Still kind of the same update. Nothing really has changed. I mean, there's still negotiations. There's still, who knows when this fight is going to be officially announced, if it does get announced. In fact, Mayweather on his online, he posted that, another picture of him and McGregor, trying to hype it up. So,
right.
Hopefully we'll see what happens. I mean, a part of me does want to see this fight, but, if it doesn't happen, fine, So.
Okay, all right. Well, let's move on then.
Yeah, let's move on to Macho Doesn't Mean This. Gabe, take it away.
Okay, so this week I'm going to be going in another different direction than I've done in a while, and that's I'm going to be talking about what makes the real hero. And there's action movies, and there's other movies. There's dramas and romance and that type of thing. And so we should focus less on what makes us the hero in an action movie, and focus more on what makes you the hero in a down to earth movie. So there's there's a lot to be said for storming the gates and whatnot, and that's what we cheer for in the action movies. Yes, the good guys and the bad guys and all of
Wolverines.
Thank you,
all you 80s action film fans out there.
Totally, just like that, and I'm right there with you if you're screaming in the theater about it. But this is like there's the theater and there's what you're kind of told in the rest of your life. And so I started off this whole segment, macho doesn't mean this, saying that the way we've been taught about manhood, adulthood, being a perfect person or being a good enough person is very skewed in our society. There are certain ways that we completely respect it and certain ways that can step up to the plate and people think you're doing the weak thing or the wrong thing. And neither of those are true if you're truly stepping up to the plate. So the hero in an action movie can storm the castle, can storm the building, can break in, I'm thinking of both Mission Impossible and Charlie's Angels with like the creeping and the bending over lasers and all of that, creeping up the wall. All right, you can do that covert stealth stuff, and you can just run with your army on into the barricade. But what we don't focus on is that they're doing that stuff for a reason. They're fighting for a good cause, a big cause, and that's what's kind of forgotten in the whole rest of the lesson of the movie. And I think with a lot more, down to earth movies, it's the same type of thing. The hero doesn't have to be someone that storms the gates, but it can be someone, that helps out someone else to do the right thing, even when that's a little hard, or people think you're.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like for example, you ever saw Seth Rogen's Knocked Up?
Knocked Up, yes.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. I mean, he goes from a pot-smoking slacker to a responsible father.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it was difficult at the end, especially the part where he's arguing with his girl. He's going, "I hate you, hormones, not my girl, hormones. You are a psychotic bitch, hormones." And then she goes, "Go screw your bong," and he goes, "Yeah, I will go screw my bong, doggy style."
Yes, exactly.
And of course, when he goes on that trip to Las Vegas, I'm saying, of course, he realizes that he needs to step up to the plate. He needs to, granted, it's all due to a mushrooms attack, which, by the way, good lesson. Never go to Cirque du Soleil high on mushrooms. The mushrooms are turning against me! Ah! Papa! I am not your papa!
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yes. But anyway, all of that was to say that yeah, you're right. He does do the right thing, and he might have said kind of not good words, but he did find a way in the first thing you mentioned. He did, you bitch hormones. He did find a way to talk to the part of her that was he was actually angry at, and try and keep it separate from the rest of her. That's what I get out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. So it's and again, it's stuff like that. It's little stuff like that, and I think we do have movies that illustrate it every day, and they aren't paid attention to in the same way as the big action movies. And I think even if you don't see it, people are cheering when you do the right thing in life.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's also like another example. Like, this is the same movie, but remember when Katherine Heigl and Lisa Mann in the movie, they tried to go to the club and they got rejected. She did the whole, "You are not God. You're just a doorman. Doorman.
Right.
Doorman." And then he pulls him to the side and he goes like, because he was kind of douchey. Craig Robinson's character, he was douchey.
Right.
But then he takes him to the side and goes like, "Listen, you're right. It's nothing against you. I love to tap that ass. I would tear that ass up." But he says like, we can't be letting like, pregnant women at the club and says like, you know, I'm not even allowed to allow like not too many blacks in there, like maybe one black guy and a midget. So I mean, because most bouncers are douchey, and then you find out this guy is like, well, okay, yeah, he's douchey, but at the same time, yeah, he's kind of doing his job.
Right, exactly, and yeah, you know, that's the other thing is that, you know, is that sometimes the hardest thing and the weirdest thing to figure out is that the people standing in your way, you know, actually are doing a role that was given to them, and they have to do it the right way, and they're you know, they might be standing in your way for this thing that you need, but they're actually a person that probably agrees with you, you know, you know, off the beat.
Yeah, so. It's also an example that some douches do change. I mean, like, yeah, exactly, also in the same movie, Ken Jeong, who plays the doctor in there, yeah, you know, he was, you know, Seth Rogen's like, listen, you know, he just, you know, she wants a natural experience. She wants a good experience, and he goes off and he goes like, okay, you want a good natural experience? Go to a Jimmy Buffett concert, you know, and then of course Seth Rogen eventually gets him to calm down and stuff like that. Right. So yeah. Exactly. So anyway, it's like there is a powerful way to go about it, and sometimes you have to be a little unconventional. But when you can find a way forward that's a little unconventional but works with them, that person that supposedly is in your way, then, you know, you get what you want and then some. You know what I mean? Like the guy behind the desk not just, you know, waves you through, but also, you know, gives you a good secret passage or something. Also, by the way, this is for those who don't know this about Ken Jeong. In real life, he actually was a doctor before he became an actor.
Really?
Oh yeah, he was. But I'll tell you one thing: if he was my wife's doctor and he was talking all that shit like he did in the movie, I'd whoop him like he stole stuff.
Good point. Yes, I get that. I get that totally as well.
Exactly. And
but yeah, you know when to be a hero and know when to stick up for something, even if it's the biggest thing or the tiniest thing. Like, you know, whenever you're doing the right thing, there will be someone cheering in the silent background.
Exactly. You know, exactly. You know, abso-freaking-lutely.
Mm-hmm.
What's another good example from?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, you know. One of my favorites is Little Miss Sunshine. Have you heard of that one?
Oh yes, I actually saw that one.
Yes,
that one was
you have
good.
Seen that. Yeah, so like remember when, you know, when it's the whole thing where it's supposed to be a like little beauty contest, but yeah. or no, like little Miss Professional contest, but yeah. Anyway, they get everyone in, even though some people were like, oh, we're gonna deny you tickets. Well, fuck that, we have to get in. I mean, come on. And so like they do it. I forget the whole thing. They do what they do, but they get the crazy uncle in. They get the you know, mixed up in drugs grandfather in, all of that, and then, you know, and then they bring everyone in, and then she turns it into like a mini striptease. But since she's a girl, they're all, a younger girl, they're like, oh no, you can't do that, and blah blah. And anyway, it's her little fuck you to everyone. So yeah, I think stuff like that. Everyone that gets in and sees her do her dance is their own hero in their own way. And in that story, it's about overcoming like kind of family drama and like, you know, and like butting heads with people. They overcome that psychological bullshit to be with her. You know?
Well, yeah, exactly. You know, because it's about her.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's always about the youngest kid, the new generation. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, I don't necessarily agree with you know, beauty pageants, you know, because that's colors and tiara shit. You know, like,
exactly. I was about to say, it's not that I agree that there should be an actual youth beauty pageants, because that is despicable, actually.
Well, I mean, I'm all for self-esteem, but also
yes, exactly.
But there's also like you know, I think it encourages pedophilia.
Mm-hmm. I was about to say, there's a line. If you're bringing sex into it when they are that young, then that's, you know, nothing good can come of that. Even if you say it's raising her self-esteem making her on a fast track to whatever. And
yeah, especially like when it's especially after that John Benet Ramsey thing, and then I remember watching an episode of Dr. Phil where there was this beauty pageant stage mom, and she says she blamed like the guy on the D, the dirty, for talking about there was a guy who had looked at one of her daughter's pictures, and there was a dude who actually was pleasuring himself to it. And yeah, it's on an episode of Dr. Phil. I have it on one of my Dr. Phil videos. Yeah. But so it's like you gotta stay away from beauty pageants.
So unfortunately, that type of stuff happens, and we've talked before that's that there are things that are underbelly of our society that we have to address at some point, and yeah, that's one of them. And by the way, speaking of reality TV and stuff, that and young beauty stars, Honey Boo Boo, that whole thing.
Oh yeah, I love Honey Boo Boo. Listen, I got nothing bad to say about Honey Boo Boo. I love that. Because even when at the height of the thing, before the whole child molestation thing with Mama June and her other daughter, like people were saying people were like bad mouthing her, bad mouthing Honey Boo Boo and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, but you're picking on a little kid.
Right, exactly.
It's like, well, exactly. I mean, that's easy to pick on a little kid.
Right, exactly. I mean, they would say it's because she's the star, but, who made her the star? You did. We made her the star so that we could criticize her. That's not how it goes. And, but the thing I think about that is that, unfortunately there was also that whole thing of pedophilia that the mother was involved with, was part of that. And I don't bring any ill will on their family for that, except someone in the family, probably the mother, chose to still allow him to be there and tried to cover it up. So.
Oh yeah, exactly. In fact, I remember I had a gay therapist, and he was a fan of Honey Boo Boo, and he says well, the thing about Honey Boo Boo's family is that they're poor, but they're happy, because. On regular reality shows, whether it's the Kardashians or the Real Housewives of Anytown, USA, California or New Jersey, take your pick. Those are rich people, and they're fighting over small shit.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so that's just a whole other side note. Is that maybe you do have to know what's right, and in the real world too, because sometimes the lines of reality and entertainment get blurred if you're on a reality TV show. So
exactly.
That type of thing as well. It also matters what you do, and you should also be a small hero when you're, in your life.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I got another one example. Another movie example of this is Pretty Baby, the movie that made Brooke Shields a star. Well, there was that movie, and then later on she did The Blue Lagoon. Right. But the thing about that movie, she plays a woman who's born into a brothel house. She's a little girl, and Susan Sarandon is her mother, and then also Brooke Shields becomes this. She becomes a young little prostitute. But then there's this guy there who's doing photography and talking about the brothel house. He's thinking okay, she needs to have a normal childhood. She needs to be a kid. But then later on, he winds up marrying her, and of course.
I guess I have not seen this movie. Yeah. But.
Really? Everyone's seen that movie. That's a real iconic film. As a matter of fact, I remember I was texting you when I was watching it because I was like,
oh yeah,
yeah, because I was like, dude, Brooke Shields is at a young age showing her tits, and and
that's what you were talking about when you texted me that.
Yeah, because it's we all know Brooke Shields is a hot MILF now, especially when you see those commercials she's in. I mean, she's grown up to be a nice mother I love to fuck. But at the same time, it's when you look at her as a kid, you're like, is this right to be turned on by this?
I see.
Am I going to go to hell for jacking off to her as a kid? But
it depends on how much of a kid she actually is.
Well, I think she was 10 years old at the time she made that movie, because, she was a child actor.
Right. She was literally 10 when she made it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, then yeah, never mind.
Yeah, yes, because this was in like 1979. So
right.
But and also, I mean, so it's like, but also one of the things is like both Susan Sarandon's character and the guy who she marries, and then Brooke leaves at the end of the movie to reunite with her mom, because her mom and her new husband, when I put her in a new school and give her a new life. And of course, this was way after the brothel house closes down in New Orleans.
Right.
But you know, it's all like even though some of them are kind of fucked up and whatever, it's like at the end of the day, what they both want is what's best for the little girl.
Okay.
Yes.
There you go. And so that ties into the whole coming together for the child, type of thing that we were talking about with Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah, of course, it's also funny when there's a scene where, like, because you know how, like, they used to take pictures back in the days, like the 20s and 30s or whatever,
where you have to sit there for 30 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, and you had to develop the films and like with this little black thing and like the little frame,
black sheet over a frame. And
there's a scene where Brooke Shields is touching one of the pictures because she wants to look at it, and the photographer who eventually becomes her husband, he goes, it's like, what do you think you're doing? And like pimp slaps her. There was a few times I ever wondered, I was like, she got bitch slapped. That also reminds me of that. Remember that scene in South Park when Terrence and Phillip were on the Conan O'Brien show, and they had Brooke Shields on the show, and they're talking about farting and stuff, and Brooke Shields goes, "I once farted on the set of The Blue Lagoon." They looked at her for like maybe 5 seconds and went, oh, yeah. By the way, please don't smack kids. I mean,
exactly. Not where we were going with that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, it's it's a good idea. It's a good idea to think about. Not just what will help you in the short term. I think that's also part of it, but what will help you in the long term. And usually it involves some type of alliance with another powerful force at work. That's what will help you out a lot, and that's how you can be the small hero.
Yeah, that's also the formula for almost every Disney movie pretty much every Disney movie that's been made.
That's ever made. I'm sure we could go into that later, but probably yes.
Oh yeah, especially in that movie Inside Out. I remember watching that on like Christmas Day. That was like an hour. I think it was like an hour and 14 minutes.
Okay, don't spoil it for me.
Oh no! I'm not
watch that one.
Oh, I'm not gonna tell you the ending or anything. But let me tell you something. After watching that, because like basically our mom made us watch it, but I was just like, that is an hour and 14 minutes of my life I want back. I even told her, I said, and afterwards I said, okay, that's it. I'm done. After the movie's over, I said, okay, I'm done. I need to watch something with violence and sex.
Exactly.
But there's of course there's a hero in all of us, and I think that's pretty much the message in movies, whether it's comedy and dramas and action films.
Yes.
There's pretty much a hero in all of us, just waiting to come out. Exactly. Especially like I said, it's the formula for every Disney movie that's ever been made. Especially Finding Dora, which is coming out.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, which, by the way, they say that it's going to include the first lesbian couple in a Disney movie.
Really? Oh, I've not heard this.
Well, that's the power of Ellen DeGeneres.
Yes, exactly. That makes sense. There was talk of there's like speculation that there will be the Frozen 2. So what I heard is that there was a campaign online to try and have Elsa have a girlfriend in that one. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't know that they had actually already decided to do that with Finding Dora.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I didn't see Frozen, but I remember watching an episode of Adult Swim where they made fun of the Disney princesses, and like the girl, the redhead chick from Frozen. What's her name? But her, Mulan, and Pocahontas, and they start a war with all the other Disney princesses because they're all like prim and proper and stuff like that. Yeah. Also, Belle. They had Belle from the Little
No, Beauty and the Beast.
No, okay. Oh, Ariel from The Little Mermaid. She was so funny. There was one part where she goes, "Crabs? I have crabs." And then there was another part where she goes, "Thingamabombs? I have thingamabombs." And Jasmine from Aladdin, she goes like, "Nobody cares about the dildos, you freak bitch." And then before they go to war, you see Ariel carrying a bomb, and she goes, "It's my thingamabombs." And then Cinderella goes, "Oh, you just don't. That's your thing. You just don't understand words." And then the bomb is starting to go off, and everyone's like, "Run, run!" And then the crab from the Little Mermaid, he goes, "Bend over and grab your ankles." Oh, that was so. I always rewind it to that part whenever I watch it on YouTube, and I just laugh my balls off.
Yes, Robot Chicken is wrong in so many ways.
Oh yes, Robot Chicken, ruining kids' childhood memories since 2009.
Yes.
Actually, 2007.
I was going to say, I thought earlier, but yes.
Yeah, 2007. I remember watching the show in 2007. But it's also funny when before Snow White goes into a song, like the redhead chick from Frozen, she goes, "Not a damn song," because she is so not like the other Disney princesses.
Yeah, exactly. You're thinking about Brave, by the way, though.
Oh, Brave?
Yeah, that's the redheaded Scotland girl from Brave is the one you're thinking of.
Oh, redhead. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the liquor, people. It's the liquor.
Exactly.
But that is a good message, and there's a hero among all of us, and
in all of us as well. Yes.
Oh yes, in all of us as well. So that is definitely a good message.
Cheers to that.
Yes, it is. So now we're gonna get into Chew on This, and for Chew on This, we wanted to have this another debate, and this one is: do professional wrestlers make good fighters?
Right. So yeah, I'm sure we have a lot of opinions. You guys have a lot of opinions floating out around there. I know, like whenever in the early days when I would bring up WWE, you'd be like, to the fans out there, I know that he's not saying WWE is like the real thing. So I know that you think that that they're like kind of poserish and whatever.
Well, not poserish. I mean, because like I did watch WWE. Well, first I played the video games as a kid because like I used to play the WrestleMania video game. They used to come out on Sega. I would go over to my cousin's house and we play that. Of course, I know who Hulk Hogan was, and then there was Randy Savage from the Slim Jim commercials, and then there was The Undertaker because everybody talked about The Undertaker. Yeah. This was like when he was like the first 3 years, and he was so popular. And I really got into it during the Attitude Era, which was during my when I was in fourth grade. Okay. And of course, and I watched that from fourth grade up until about the beginning of my senior year of high school, and that's when I really started getting into MMA.
Right.
Because like that's when the big boom started. But as far as them being fighters and stuff, I mean, it really is. I really am torn because like Brock Lesnar, of course he came from WWE into the UFC, and of course he became heavyweight champion, and he really was a big draw in the UFC.
Right.
Yeah, but and of course there have been some professional wrestlers who have gone into MMA. I mean, Bobby Lashley right now. I mean, of course he's done some fights for Bellator and other promotions, and then of course, Sean O'Hare, before he passed away, he was a wrestler in WCW and later WWE, but he became an MMA fighter as well.
Right.
Yeah, and now, of course, with CM Punk, who just signed to the UFC, and later on in the summer, he's going to make his MMA debut coming back from the back surgery. But
so yeah, I mean, what do you think when you see someone who had been in the WWE or one of the pro wrestling outfits, then coming into MMA? What do you think? What do you personally feel as someone who?
I personally feel like it depends on their background in fighting, because we talked about this one time when we talked about pro wrestling.
Right.
And on one of our earlier shows, this is when there was audio and you couldn't see our faces. Because some pro wrestlers do have a background in some fighting discipline. The Undertaker. I mean, he was into boxing. He's into boxing. He can. That's why when you see him in his matches, he throws those punches.
Right.
And he's also really into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's a huge MMA fan. That's why he does the the Gogo Plata submission hold. You see him in his matches.
Right.
And you see CM Punk taking some stuff from MMA into pro wrestling. Like doing the Vanderlei Silva thing, and then doing the Muay Thai knees, and doing some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. In real life, he does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And you also see the influence of MMA on, Daniel Bryan, who used to wrestle. Of course, now he's retired because of the concussions. And you see it in Samoa Joe from his years in TNA to now in NXT, which is the development program for WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And, you look at some of them and you think, like, yeah, they actually could be some fighters.
Right.
They look like they can actually fight.
Right.
But then there are other wrestlers, they can't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. I mean, like,
right, exactly.
Triple H, yeah, you see Triple H and you see him doing a whole lot of boxing and stuff, but let me tell you something. If you put Triple H in the ring with a 130-pound amateur, that 130-pound amateur, he's gonna whoop his ass.
Gotcha. So yeah, I was gonna say I think to me the defining aspect is do they have skills that are transferable to the UFC or to MMA?
Oh yeah, because
that's the biggest thing, because as much as you might have skills in certain type of fighting, let's be real, it's more entertainment fighting on one side, on the pro wrestling side. So you might have those types of skills and you could be very good at that, but if you don't have the skills that apply to actual combat and actual fighting, then so long once you get to the UFC.
Well, yeah, exactly, because wrestling is, at the end of the day, it is entertainment. Oh, well, I mean, it is wrestling, but you're taught when you go into a wrestling school that yeah, you have to be a little tough. Like when you do the clotheslines and stuff like that, or when you do the whole like body slamming your opponent. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you have to take care of your opponent. That was in the old days, in the territorial days, in the 50s and 60s and 70s. That was the golden rule when you went into a pro wrestling school. It's take care of your opponent's body like it was his own. Mm. Like it's your own body.
It's your own. Yeah.
Because if he gets hurt, then and you're supposed to work at a big angle, then that's taking money out of his mouth, and that's taking money out of your mouth.
Good point. So I mean, I guess in that instance, for better or for worse, that skill doesn't apply. So you would say it's more authentic of like fighting and wrestling that in the MMA they don't stand for that, but then it is less cooperative and less of like the sort of old-timey showmanship, old-timey sportsmanship. That's the word I was thinking of.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because with pro wrestling, it is, it's both a sport and entertainment, because that's why they call it sports entertainment. Mm. But I do agree that that the name on the marquee is wrestling, and that's one of the big debates and like when people talk about the WWE because they say like, well, WWE, they don't really focus on the wrestling. It's more on entertainment and in the PG era, it's about the kids and stuff like that. That's why you don't see a whole lot of catch as can wrestling or strong style wrestling, or anything like that. But the name on the marquee is wrestling, and that's why you have the Lucha Underground promotion. There's the New Japan Pro Wrestling and all those other organizations on the independent circuit that treat this wrestling like it's a real sport. Because pro wrestling used to be a real sport. Catch wrestling.
Right.
Where you could win by pin or submission, and they were real wrestlers. Like Gay Don Owen, like Gay Hodges and Luthez, who was like a real pro wrestler. Guys who from amateur wrestling and they go into the real pro wrestling and stuff.
But I think the thing about that is that I think it does depend on how much it actually switches towards entertainment. You might be right that it started out as a serious sport. But I also think the more it switches to entertainment, it actually changes itself. So even if you were to say that from its tradition, it's more of a real sport, we should look at it now. And I don't think it's gone that far yet, but it could go that far where it's actually more entertainment than sport. And I think at that point it then has changed. No matter what it was before, it's now changed. It's not a real sport anymore.
Well, yeah, exactly, and now even plus back in the day, like in the '90s during the Attitude Era and stuff like that, with the WCW Nitro, which I used to watch a lot. I used to kind of watch both, but I was more of a huge fan of WCW. With the Hulk Hogan's and the NWO, and of course Goldberg. But well, I was gonna. I was more a fan of that. And also there would be some MMA fighters coming into pro wrestling because like MMA at that time there was no money coming in because of the John McCain witch hunt. That's why Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn went into the WWE, and Tank Abbott of course went into WCW, but of course Vince Russo, one of the head writers, he fucked that up. And and also you see the influence of Goldberg too. When remember when he would come to the ring with the black boots and he had like the short little gloves and stuff like that. He says he said like I watched the early UFC. I watched old school UFC. I watched Pancrase. I saw Sambo and Judo and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, I guess it really depends. I mean, I was there with them with my peers in middle school. They were it was all about the big characters. There was Jericho, there was The Rock. I don't know which division they're in or whatever, but so I think I did respect it in that way, but then I would see how it was about characters and personality as well, and that the fact that The Rock had his catchphrase and you smell what The Rock's cooking, like that people would stop and just admire that. So I mean that's good in one sense, but then that is completely about the entertainment. If it's, oh no, here comes whoever, and like they give them their own special moment just because of the name brand is what it comes down to that they're selling. Well, that is about the entertainment side. That's not about the wrestling side because it's not about their ability anymore. Yeah. It's just about, oh, here he comes.
Yeah, but there are some wrestlers that can fight, but I guess to put in perspective, it's like this: like if The Rock if we were in a bar, and The Rock would bitch slap both you and me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he would have more problems with you because you got the Aikido and the karate and kickboxing background.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, no disrespect to you, but you're not a Don Wilson or a Van Damme type of dude.
That's okay.
But
no disrespect taken.
Yeah, but if you were to put The Rock with a boxer like Tyson Fury or an MMA fighter like Fabricio Verdum, I mean, they're gonna whoop him like a runaway slave.
Oh,
yeah. My name is Toby. yeah, the new version of Roots is on right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But yeah, you know, that's
so,
what
I mean. That's the point, and I guess there's a reason that they don't interact together. You know, unless one of the pro wrestler guys comes to the UFC.
Well, yeah, and let me tell you, yeah, and there are even some pro wrestlers some MMA fighters that grew up on pro wrestling, and you know, they try to get involved. That's why in TNA, you know, Tito Ortiz and Rampage and King Mo, they tried to get in with TNA and stuff. I mean, King Mo is a huge Ric Flair fan from back in the day. And let me tell you something. Even Ronda Rousey, she loves Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, and you saw her at WrestleMania, you know, with The Rock, and yeah, and she's even said, like, you know, she would love to be in the WWE and stuff. And let me tell you something. If I'm a WWE diva and I find out that Ronda Rousey wants to be in the WWE, I would not want her to be in that locker room. Oh yeah, she would, because like in pro wrestling behind the scenes, there is sort of like a pecking order, you know, like you know, when a person comes in, especially in the big times, it's more like you know, hey, you have to earn your spot, you gotta earn it, and, and sometimes it can be a little political, like, oh, we're not gonna hand the belt to you, or I don't think you have anything to contribute to the business, you know, and stuff like that. But if Ronda were to come into the WWE, nobody's going to bully her. She's an Olympic bronze medalist, and you know, and a former world champion. So I don't see anybody trying to bully her. You know,
good point.
Yeah, you know, she'd be going in. She'd be the bully. You know what I'm saying?
She'd be the big fish going into the small pond now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bend over and grab your ankles.
That'll be a new catchphrase.
Yes, it would. Bend over and grab your ankles.
What have we become?
Yes, what have we become?
Anyway.
But yeah, you know, that's what definitely would happen if Ronda were to become a professional wrestler. Yeah. And I have all the respect for professional wrestling. You know, especially, you know, even for the people who have passed away, you know, like the Roddy Pipers, the Dusty Rhodes, the Randy Savages, even not too long ago, China. You know what I'm saying? So,
and you make a good point that some people, you know, started out there because you know they actually were in MMA, but then they you know, couldn't make it work in like the 80s and 90s, and so they switched over, as it were, but really found a good opportunity to go into something where they, you know, would get noticed, and that was in pro wrestling instead. So it's also, you know, some people, if they were there long enough ago, they were there because they had the skills, not because of, you know, their entertainment value.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, but like I said before, and when we did I think it was like the second podcast we did, you know, it's like, I don't think you can, you know, you have to choose either one or the other between MMA and pro wrestling. I think you can like both at the same time. Right. I mean, granted, the WWE product, you know, with the PG thing, you know, I'm not really a fan of, you know, because it's kind of gearing more towards kids and whatever. You know, despite some of the good superstars that they have there. Right. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, you can still like pro wrestling, you know, you can still watch Impact and New Japan and Lucha Underground, or even some old school stuff that's on YouTube. Right. You know, that old school Southern wrestling.
That's not wrestling. That's not real wrestling. You don't know.
No,
Good old
exactly.
South Park.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're gonna end it right here. Go to youtube.com/Bloody Knuckles TV. Also, we got our spin-off show Ringside with Matt and Gabe, which we're gonna be
airing soon. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna be airing soon, and who knows? Maybe we'll announce it next week when it's gonna air or whatever.
Okay.
So from BeanTown to your town, this is the BeanTown Beatdown saying Vios con Dios.